What if the last lessons of your life were the only ones that really mattered? And what if you spent your final days teaching someone how to live? Hi, I'm Peter, and welcome back to Books for Thoughts, where we explore stories that don't just entertain, but awaken something deeper and stay with you long after the final page. Today's book is quiet but powerful. It's about one man's final months on Earth and the student who came back to learn what school never taught him. This is Tuesdays with Morrie by Mitch Albom, a true story about love, loss, and the lessons we only learn when we slow down and really listen. Mitch was in his 30s, successful, busy, always in motion, a journalist with deadlines, flights, and a packed calendar. But then he saw a face he hadn't thought about in years. His old college professor, Morrie Schwartz, appearing on TV, talking about what it's like to die from ALS. Something shifted, and just like that, Mitch flew out to Boston to see his old mentor, not for an article, but because something deeper was stirring. They hadn't spoken in 16 years. But when Morrie saw Mitch at the door, his face lit up like no time had passed. He said, "You've come back at the perfect time. I'm dying." What started as one visit became a ritual. Every Tuesday, Mitch flew in and sat across from Morrie, in a recliner with oxygen tubes, his body slowly declining, but his spirit sharper than ever. Morrie wasn't afraid of death. He was curious about it, and he was determined to turn his dying into a final class, one without grades, but filled with the kind of wisdom you can't unlearn once it sinks in. They talked about everything: love, work, regret, aging, and especially what makes life worth living. Morrie's body got weaker each week, but his mind became clearer. And Mitch, who had once been too busy to feel, started to remember who he used to be before ambition buried his heart under a schedule. One of the most powerful lessons Morrie taught was about awareness. He asked, "What would you do if you knew you were going to die in a few months?" Then he asked, "Why aren't you doing those things now?" Morrie didn't say this with sadness. He said it with urgency and love. He wanted people to wake up, not when it was too late, but now, to say the things they've been holding in, to forgive people they swore they wouldn't, to notice the light through the window and the warmth in someone's hand. His perspective didn't come from theory. It came from dying, from being forced to slow down. And notice what the rest of us rushed past. Mitch had lived his life believing that more was the answer. More money, more work, more achievement. But Morrie saw it differently. He said, "We've got a culture that doesn't make people feel good about themselves. And you have to be strong enough to say, if the culture doesn't work, don't buy it." This wasn't a call to escape reality. It was a challenge to reshape it. Morrie believed that we needed each other. That connection was more important than climbing. That community was a kind of medicine. He warned against chasing success at the cost of soul. And he reminded Mitch, and all of us, that when you strip life down to its essentials, only a few things truly matter: who you love, how you treat people, and whether you're present for your own life while it's still happening. As Morrie's body weakened, his message became stronger. He often repeated a simple phrase: love each other or perish, not as a slogan, but as a truth he had lived. He had seen how many people died alone, not because they wanted to, but because they'd forgotten how to stay close to others while they were still alive. Morrie believed love wasn't a feeling. It was a decision to be present, to reach out, to let people in, even when it's uncomfortable. He said, the most important thing in life is to learn how to give out love and to let it come in." Mitch had spent years protecting himself, avoiding vulnerability. Morrie, even as he faded physically, taught him how to open again. Morrie also talked about regret, Not the kind that comes from missed promotions or broken routines, but the quiet regret of never making peace. He told Mitch a story about an old friend he had fallen out with over something small and how he waited too long to call until the man passed away. Morrie's eyes filled with tears when he shared that story. Even with his incredible perspective, even as a teacher of letting go, some lessons still carried pain. That's why he told Mitch, forgive yourself before you die, then forgive others. It wasn't about forgetting, it was about freedom, about choosing to release what weighs you down so you can carry only what matters in the time you have left. As ALS took more of his body, Morrie refused to be pitied. He acknowledged the loss. He didn't sugarcoat it, but he also saw aging, not as deterioration, but as a form of gathering. Each year added layers of perspective, humility, compassion. He said, as you grow, you learn more. If you stayed at 22, you'd always be as ignorant as you were at 22. Aging, he believed, was a gift because it taught you how to love deeper and fear less. That wisdom challenged Mitch and probably challenges us too, because we're taught to fear aging, to fight it, to see it as decline. But Morrie reframed it, not decline, but ripening, a time to soften, to give, to savor. In one of their last meetings, Morrie told Mitch that he wasn't afraid of dying, but he was afraid of missing life while it was still here. So every morning, he practiced gratitude for the bird song outside his window, for the hands that helped him dress, for the conversations that reminded him he was still alive. Even in pain, Morrie found joy. And in his final weeks, he told Mitch, death ends a life, not a relationship. It's one of the book's most powerful lines because it reminds us that love doesn't disappear. It continues in memory and in presence in the way we carry someone's voice with us. Long after they've gone, Mitch came to those Tuesdays hoping to understand death, but what he learned was how to live. Tuesdays with Morrie is more than a memoir. It's a conversation between a man who was running from life and a man who was holding it gently as it slipped away. It's about presence. It's about love. It's about remembering that the things we chase can never replace the things that matter most. If this breakdown moved you, I hope you'll take a moment to reflect on who you've loved, on what you've forgiven, and on what still needs saying, because we don't need a terminal diagnosis to start living more intentionally. And if this book speaks to something in you, I encourage you to pick up a copy of Tuesdays with Morrie and hold its lessons in your own hands. If you enjoy emotionally honest stories that help you slow down, feel more deeply, and live with purpose, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Books for Thoughts, where we share 10-minute breakdowns for the soul. Until next time, stay open, stay tender, and remember, love each other or perish.